The sky was still screaming when she woke. Acrid smoke stung her throat, a mixture of metal and ozone, the scent of ruptured plasma cores and bleeding soldiers. Her body didn't respond, neither legs nor tail. Her eyes blinked through tears that weren't entirely from pain. Her armor was scorched, split down one side, crushed across her hips. The faint hum of her neural weave was gone. Numbness spread below her waist like a betrayal. A single shadow loomed over her. Her father. He didn't kneel, didn't touch her, just stood tall, broad, towering above the ruined battlefield like a monument carved in cruelty. His crown was cracked, black blood matted across one brow. His crimson cape dragged through ash. He looked at her like she was nothing, less than nothing, a defect. She opened her mouth to speak. Only blood came out. "You failed," he said. She tried to move, to explain, to plead. Her mouth was no longer under her command. "This body is broken," he continued. "This mind might be too. A true heir would have found a way." He turned. Left. She tried to scream, but her voice had died somewhere inside her chest. The last image burned into her memory was her father's ship rising from the shattered valley, engines thundering as he left her to rot on the corpse of her own failure. Time blurred. The next clarity arrived with a different shadow. Shorter, thinner, human. He muttered something she couldn't understand at first. It was crude, guttered dialect, a scavenger's tongue. "Well, damn. You're still breathing. That's inconvenient." His face was rugged, scarred by more than one war, and his clothes bore no insignia of rank or glory, just utility. A blood-red scarf wrapped around his neck, tattered but purposeful. His eyes were calculating, not cruel. The kind of gaze that weighed options instead of people. He knelt beside her, clicked something on his wrist, scanned her, frowned. "You're, what, imperial royalty? Guess that explains the golden circuits." He tapped the side of her neck with a multi-tool. Sparks flew. She gasped. "Yeah, not dead yet. Paralysis. Neural feedback overload, probably. Fancy suits fried." He looked around. No entourage. No rescue beacon. Just silence and wreckage. "Well, ain't this a charming little apocalypse?" She managed to whisper, barely. "Do not touch me." He smirked. "You'd rather die pretty in a crater then? I order you." "Oh, I don't do orders. Not anymore." He started rummaging through nearby debris, yanking out power cells, bits of plating, a broken hover module. She watched helpless as he assembled a crude stretcher out of armor scraps and torn wiring. When he lifted her onto it, she snarled, "You are beneath me." "And yet," he replied, "here I am, dragging your royal ass out of a blast zone." Every bounce over the battlefield drove shards of pain through her spine, but she kept silent. She would not scream in front of a human. It took hours to reach the cliffside shelter. He patched together a solar tarp, booted up a ration pack, and handed her a canteen. She refused it. "Go ahead. Starve. Makes my job easier." She drank. Night fell hard on the ravaged valley. Drones screamed overhead, searching for survivors. He powered down all tech, including her armor core, and lay flat beside her, cloaked in silence. "You have no name," she said after a long moment. "Had one once," he replied. "Commander Vale. Earth Resistance." She frowned. Earth fell. "Your resistance is dust." "Not while I'm breathing." She turned her face away. He didn't ask her name. That irritated her more than anything. In the morning, he dismantled part of a crashed gunship to salvage grav coils. With some luck and human stubbornness, he turned her stretcher into a floating sled. Crude, ugly, effective. "You're an engineer?" she asked. "I'm a survivor," he answered. He built a slingshot out of broken plating to kill a sand beast for food. Stripped the armor off a dead alien commander to reforge it into a canopy over the sled. Kept moving. She hated him. Hated his resilience, his resourcefulness, his constant humming. He even whistled while dragging her through the wasteland, like this was a picnic. It was offensive. When they camped again, he used a cracked data chip to project old Earth music. Stringed instruments, slow rhythms. Strange, beautiful. She asked, "Why are you helping me?" He didn't look at her. "Because I'm human." That's what we do. She scoffed. You seek glory? Redemption. He chuckled. I'm just trying to piss off your father. She flinched. Yeah, he said, finally looking her in the eye. I know who you are. Then why not leave me? Because, he said, you were worth saving. No, she whispered. I wasn't. The silence that followed was not awkward. It was vast. He fixed her armor, recalibrated the neural relay. She felt a twitch in her hand, a spark of sensation. Her eyes widened. I'm not a medic, he said. Just a bastard with duct tape and rage. One night, they huddled beneath the stars, the wind howling like wolves. She spoke first. I was trained from birth to command legions, execute traitors. Never doubt, never falter. You're doing great so far. I killed my brother to earn the throne. He didn't flinch. He probably had it coming. She blinked. Do all humans speak like this? No, just the good ones. Days passed. Her pride didn't vanish, but it bent, under the weight of kindness, survival, and cold nights where warmth came only from someone she once called vermin. She saw him work through injuries without complaint, drag her up a cliff with bleeding hands, face a sandstorm just to retrieve a functioning neural cell. She asked why he never ran. Because, he said, I never leave my people behind. I am not your people. You are now. When the sky turned crimson with sunrise and shadows of Imperial drones returned, she expected him to run. He didn't. They're scanning, he said. We're on borrow time. She nodded. Then go. I'll mislead them. Cute. Not happening. You can't carry me forever. Sure I can. I'm stubborn. This will cost you your life. Maybe. But imagine the look on your father's face when he finds out a human saved his discarded daughter. Her throat tightened. For the first time in her life, she felt something alien. Gratitude. I never thank you. I don't need thanks. But I needed you. He looked at her, the wind brushing dust through his beard. His expression softened. You're stronger than you know. I'm broken. No, he said. You were built wrong. Now you're being remade. A moment later, the drone alarm sounded. He pulled her sled behind a ridge, armed only with an ion grenade, a blade, and a grin. They came. Silent, mechanical, merciless. He didn't wait. He lured them with heat signatures, threw flares into fissures, triggered an avalanche with thermal charges. The drones fell like dying insects, confused, caught in traps set by a creature they'd once enslaved. When it was over, she looked at the carnage. You killed Imperial tech with rocks and lies. Damn right. You're insane. He winked. And still breathing. She laughed. It surprised them both. That night, she didn't argue when he wrapped a blanket around her. She didn't resist when he adjusted her leg braces. And she didn't stop him when he began programming a new neural interface from scrap. You're not what I expected, she murmured. The world hadn't changed, but she had. The desert still hissed with heat. The sun still burned. The machines still patrolled. But she now moved one hand fully and could twitch her legs slightly. Each new nerve sparked like lightning through ancient stone. Vale didn't acknowledge her progress with celebration, just grunted and handed her another set of commands to practice. Tiny hand movements that he'd rigged into a makeshift diagnostic gauntlet. The man treated her like a half-broken weapon, worth fixing, not worshipping. You should be proud, she said, more sharply than intended. Proud is a luxury, he replied, setting the sensor grid again. Progress is survival. Survival is the goal. And what's after survival? Getting even. She didn't ask with who. He didn't need to say. Each day, she clawed further from her paralysis. Her neural net, repaired by his patchwork engineering, flickered to life in bursts. Her armor began responding to her commands again. Sometimes it obeyed. Sometimes it sparked. She refused to scream when it did. Once, she watched him wrestle a dying drone's power core from its chest with nothing but a crowbar, and his teeth gritted in a snarl. His hands were bleeding. He didn't notice. He was building a mobility frame for her. She hadn't asked. He hadn't offered. He just did it. She said, "You're not like the others." "Good," he answered. "They're dead." Her father's drones weren't giving up. They combed the ruins daily. The wreckage Vale had lured them into before had only bought time. He had no illusions about rescue. Neither did she. Not anymore. One night, she tested the neural feedback loop on her mobility frame without warning. The result sent her sprawling into the sand. Vale caught her just before her head cracked against rock. "You're not ready. I don't care. That's not how nerves work." She glared up at him. "I don't need a lecture from a scavenger. You need a spine. I'm working on that." She slapped him. Her arm was slow, weak. He didn't flinch. "That all you got?" he asked, rubbing his jaw with mild amusement. "You're beneath me. Keep telling yourself that, princess." Later, when the stars were out and silence fell again, she said, "My name is Soraka." Vale didn't reply. "You're supposed to say something." "I don't work well with royalty. I'm not royalty anymore." He handed her a data chip. "Good. Then you'll want to see this." It was a recorded broadcast. Her father's voice, proud and cold. He declared her lost during a noble defense of the Empire's outer colonies. A martyr. A symbol. He named a new heir, a distant cousin loyal to the war cause. No search parties. No mourning. Just erasure. She watched in silence. Vale watched her. When it ended, she whispered, "He's rewriting me. He's already replaced you. That's worse." She said nothing for a long time. Finally, Vale said, "You're not dead. You're just inconvenient." So he buried you in fiction. Her fingers curled into fists. "He will pay." That's the spirit. They moved again north, toward the crash site of an old human supply frigate Vale claimed still had active power cells. The journey took days. Her frame grew more stable. Her neural nets synced more often. With Vale's help, she practiced walking again. The first time she stood unaided, she fell after 4 seconds. The second time, it was 6. By the end of the week, she lasted nearly a full minute before collapsing. She refused to let him carry her after that. "You're pushing too hard," he warned. "Then move out of my way." He grinned. They reached the wreck in silence. It was half buried in stone, but its innards still hummed faintly. He dug through corpses and shattered consoles, humming earth tunes as he worked. She didn't understand the lyrics, but found herself tapping her fingers to the rhythm. The power core was stable. The comms array was not. She asked, "Can we call for help?" He shook his head. "Only if you want every Imperial cruiser within 10 sectors to nuke us from orbit." He extracted a command chip from the ship's AI node and tucked it into his jacket. "But this might help us level the playing field." They left just before an Imperial recon squad stumbled across the wreck. Vale had rigged a thermite trap behind them. The explosion lit up the valley for miles. That night, she stared into the fire. "I don't understand humans." He was repairing her shoulder plate. "We like being misunderstood. Makes us unpredictable. You survived the collapse of your own species. Not by choice. You still fight. We don't know how to stop. You still laugh. It beats crying." She turned away, angry at how much she admired him. The next day, they were ambushed. 2 bounty hunters, Gorzek twins, mercenaries known for skinning their bounties alive. They had tracked her using old Imperial implants Vale hadn't detected. He killed one with a blade to the throat. She killed the other with her first proper neural blast in weeks. It felt good. Too good. She sat in the sand afterward, shaking. "I enjoyed that." He nodded. "That's normal. It shouldn't be. They would have done worse to you. I'm not supposed to be like this." "Like what?" "Angry. Vengeful. Lost. You're evolving. Welcome to being human." She glared at him. "I'm not like you. You keep saying that." He buried the twins beneath rocks. She didn't stop him. When they resumed traveling, she didn't speak for 3 days. On the 4th, she asked, "What did your people call Earth before it fell?" "Home." "What do you call it now?" "A lesson." She considered that. "And what did you learn?" "Never trust empires. Especially your own." They reached the edge of the wastes, the old barrier line, where Imperial territory ended and neutral zones began. Beyond lay outlaws, exiles, and ancient tech ruins no one dared touch. She asked, "Why are we here?" To meet someone. Who? Someone who hates your father more than I do. That turned out to be a rogue AI named Corin, housed in the remains of a mobile weapons platform buried deep beneath the rock. Vale had saved it during the siege of Revan's moon. In return, the AI owed him one favor. Corin's voice echoed through the cavern. Ah, the meatbag returns. And with royalty, no less. Shall I roll out a red carpet or just detonate this chamber? Just the codes, Vale said. Of course. The meatbag gets what he wants. Again. Corin transmitted a burst of encrypted Imperial command sequences to Vale's wrist drive. Soraka watched. What is that? A backdoor into your father's fleet AI core. That's treason. No, Vale said, looking her dead in the eye. That's justice. They left Corin's lair before the AI got bored and tried to kill them again. Soraka said nothing for hours. Then, finally, she said, You're building a weapon. No, he replied. I'm building a reckoning. What do you want from me? She stepped into the fray without hesitation. Her armor flared with her neural drive, wings of hardened plasma weaving around her shoulders, pulse rounds detonating from her gauntlets in clean, rhythmic bursts. She didn't ask Vale to follow. He did anyway, without a word. The first lieutenant to confront her shouted her name, demanded surrender, invoked royal protocol. She shot through his chest without stopping. Another tried to call her princess. She severed his arm and dropped him with a single boot strike. No warnings. No speeches. Blood soaked the sand. Over comms, a general screamed for orbital confirmation of her location. The orbital lens rotated slowly toward her position. Vale jammed it mid-spin. Corin rerouted its input feed to a loop from a crater 10 kilometers away. The fleet commander gave orders to glass an empty valley. As the plasma volley rained down on empty coordinates, Soraka charged directly into the second wave. They didn't recognize her. Not at first. Their database showed an invalid target. A ghost. When the realization hit, most faltered. Some ran. She hunted them regardless. Her suit took 3 direct hits. Vale repaired the frame mid-firefight, dragging her behind a broken siege crawler and rerouting energy from her shield core to her neural stabilizers. I told you not to take the heavy cannon without the cooling mod. I'm improvising. You're suicidal. I'm furious. She limped forward, and within seconds she was sprinting again. They reached the heart of the camp by dusk. Dead bodies and twisted metal lined the approach. Above the command center floated a shielded relay station, the hub of all real-time orders sent from the Empire's orbital fleet. The node she'd carried all this way clicked into her palm like a final piece of armor. Once I trigger this, every active protocol in the Royal Fleet's AI chain resets. Control is routed through me. Vale adjusted her collar plate. They'll know instantly. Good. And if it fails? Then we die loud. He nodded once, backed off, and raised his rifle toward the last line of guards. She stepped into the uplink field. The neural relay burned through her skull as she connected. Her eyes dilated fully black, and for a moment, her lungs stopped as her nervous system synced with the Empire's entire military grid. Countless firewalls collapsed. Fail-safes disintegrated. Her biometric ID, once wiped by decree, was now the highest-ranking code in the fleet's hierarchy. Command nodes blinked. Drones paused mid-motion. Missiles recalibrated. One dreadnought changed alignment slightly, then another. 8 cruisers rerouted power. From orbit, a voice pierced the channel. Her father. You dare. Silence. It wasn't just authority. It was resonance. The AI didn't just follow her. It obeyed her emotional tone. She felt it ripple back into her spine, a feedback loop of power that tightened her muscles and made the sand beneath her hum. Her voice was no longer royal. It was absolute. She spoke 4 words into the uplink. All fleets stand down. Across the sky, the cruisers pivoted. Drones dropped from the air like rain. The dreadnoughts rerouted their guns toward the command relay, their own station. Then she gave the second order. Purge command hierarchy. The system locked. In less than 20 seconds, Every individual tied to the current Imperial Command network was flagged, isolated, and blacklisted. The ships didn't fire on them. They simply shut down their command privileges, revoked access, and rerouted permissions back to the only profile remaining. Hers. Her father screamed something over the channel, but his voice flickered and vanished. She looked at Vale. It's done. He tilted his head. So what now, Empress? She exhaled slowly. Now we show them what a better empire looks like. Corin cut into the feed. This is disgustingly sentimental. I'm triggering my self-destruct unless I get something to shoot. Vale rolled his eyes. Corin, reassign your primary target to orbital defense. That'll do. Within hours, ships that had once obeyed only her father now formed a protective perimeter around the neutral zones. The Imperial signal relays stopped broadcasting Imperial propaganda. Instead, they went dark. Silence for the first time in decades. Soraka stood beside the uplink and watched as her father's face finally vanished from every console screen. His last attempt at overriding the command sequence failed when the AI rejected his genetic markers. The Empire didn't collapse that day. It simply changed shape. Her former homeworld remained locked behind red tape and corrupted loyalties. She didn't order a bombardment. Instead, she placed the entire planet under quarantine and stripped its governors of all military support. The people would govern themselves. If they rose up, they earned freedom. If they didn't, they'd rot inside their own lies. Vale suggested leaving a beacon. She declined. They know I'm alive. Let them fear what I'll do next. Together they returned to the wrecked base in the canyon, the one where she first learned to walk again. She stood on her own, breathing dry desert air. He was at her side, quietly tuning a scanner for new threats. She asked, "Do I terrify you now?" He said, "You terrify the right people. That's what matters." She asked, "What do you want to do now?" He said, "Rest. Eat something not from a can. Then maybe topple another regime." She smiled. There were whispers now, spreading across border planets. The tyrant's daughter had returned, rebuilt from ruin, born in exile, empowered by the very technology used to enslave her. Some called her a usurper, others a savior. She ignored both. Her message was never for the cowards or the sycophants. It was for the forgotten, the broken, the ones discarded by the machines of power. Vale built her a new ship, piece by piece. Not for war, but for mobility. She didn't plan to rule from a throne. She would move, witness, and intervene when the new empire stumbled toward its old sins. He joined her, not as a servant, but as her equal. The first thing she did with her new fleet control was upload full AI rights into the central command tree. Every drone, every bot, every intelligence given autonomy. Corin threw a fit, called it emotional vandalism, then accepted a seat on her advisory board. She opened access routes to lost colonies. She restored blacklisted genetic castes. She offered asylum to any planetary government wishing to defect without bloodshed. Many took the offer. Others resisted. She didn't hesitate to remove them. The neural net she once hated now synced with her entire battle grid, but she never again fired it in anger. Only necessity. Years passed. The fleet evolved. So did the stories. Some said she rose from death. Some said she was rebuilt from scrap by a mad human inventor. Only part of that was true. The rest was myth. One day, while staring at a repaired holoprojector, she saw her father's image again, old archive footage. Him, smiling, proud, holding a younger version of her for the cameras. She didn't feel rage, just pity. The man had forged a weapon, but lacked the vision to let it choose its target. Vale watched her closely. She asked, "Do I resemble him?" Not even slightly. They left the image behind and jumped to the next system. The Empire would never be the same, and neither would she.